Hi, my name is Sarah Parnell, and I'm doing number 2 speech for BLS 382. We must be more discerning consumers of messages. For instance, we must evaluate how ethics and value play into persuasion. Could it be said that persuasion can serve as a vehicle for change? These are some of the topics I will be exploring in my speech. Today, more than ever, we are bombarded by a myriad of messages. We need to become more aware of the underlying messages that these messages convey. Every day we experience a variety of messages in advertisements from politicians, friends, and colleagues. How can we become more analytical of these messages? Perhaps by studying and understanding exactly where these messengers are attempting to do. What are they trying to convey? What is their message? And most importantly, how are they going about telling their message? First, I'd like to define what persuasion means in today's world. According to Larson, persuasion has become a common denominator in the areas of economies, politics, religion, business, and interpersonal relations since humans began to interact. And it can be said that nowadays we spend more time being persuaded than persuading others. We could look to Aristotle for guidance. He said there are two types of arguments, inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. Today I'll just be discussing inductive reasoning. In inductive reasoning, a persuader could use an incident of one topic in an area and convince the audience that it was a serious problem that must be reduced. This is a tactic often used by news anchors to incite panic and therefore more viewing from their audience. Messengers may also use propaganda to persuade their audience. Propaganda is a campaign of mass persuasion and an effort to persuade a mass audience by using mass media. This tactic is often used by political campaigns and sometimes dictators. Though this tactic is effective, it can also be negative. They might use irrelevant emotional appeals or power of suggestion, much like Hitler did in his campaign, when he told the Germans that the reason they were impoverished and unhappy was because they were forced to sign an armistice agreement, and in doing so, they were forced to lose the war. In order to reverse the damages, they had to fight back and be victorious. Now, to an extent, this may be true, but the fact of the matter was that in World War II, they entered into a war. World War I, they entered into a war that they had no business fighting in to begin with. And they did it for their own political gain. And their loss of World War II was far more detrimental to the economy and lifestyle than their losses in World War I. Hitler convinced his audience that his campaign was for the good of the people, when in fact he had done it for his own gain. Messengers use language to the best of their advantage. Words can hurt, strike, interest, cause an emotional response, and most importantly, persuade their audience. For example, as research has it, people displaying t-shirts or bumper stickers with the product labels imprinted on them, wearing campaign buttons, were more likely to buy the product, vote for the candidate, or support the cause they were promoting. They have already made their symbolic statement by using words, and the words have become deeds. In the words of Burke, language is a symbolic action. The use of language and persuasion can be effective and inspiring, and it can also be mental. For an example, unethical advertisers often use a semiotic approach to language use. They might, for example, show a commercial for Colgate. In this commercial, the beautiful woman licks her perfectly straight and clean pearly white teeth in front of the camera. Meanwhile, an extremely handsome man walks up behind her, hugs her, kisses her on the neck, and turns her around while kissing her passionately. This makes women who are especially lonely or insecure value the Colgate product more because they would like to achieve beauty and attract a handsome man. This ad appealed to the women's innate human desire to achieve perfection, and it aggravated the anxiety of falling short of that goal. They must buy Colgate in order to achieve beauty and find an attractive man and therefore achieve happiness. The mere exposure theory is also an effective technique of persuading. Your audience which the mere exposure technique is where with each additional exposure a person gets additional information, and it enhances their appraisal of the stimulus. In other words, you like things more the more you learn about them. Perhaps that is why artists like Justin Timberlake do so well, because the record company who promotes him owns the recording studio and the radio station which plays him, so they say 20 times a day, and in doing so incite interest in their audience members, which sells more records. All of these persuasion tactics, inductive reasoning, propaganda, word choice, and mere exposure can be very effective in convincing consumers to buy into their ideas or purchase their products. We must become more discerning consumers. In order to do this, we must be aware of these tactics so we can make more careful decisions based on our individual values and goals and interests, and not be persuaded to do something we don't want to do or be something we aren't. Thank you.